Well, that was an extremely productive and eventful week. Hey, I'm doing my videos. You are going to be quiet. It's been a great week for the McDonald family, a great week for the stable, all our family. Man, oh man, oh man. Now, obviously, yes, Friday was not a very good day when the standouts are... Well, Slim Jimmy was second. And then Marshall Zukov. When you go from Slim Jimmy to Marshall Zukov and don't mention a whole bunch of horses in between, bit of a rough day. A couple of fourths that were okay. I roughed up, honestly, the more I thought about the High Enterprise race, I really thought she should have been able to do what she did. Scoped her. There was still some lingering mucus in there. And to be quite frank, there may have been a little bit of a lingering muscle count. Tim drew her blood this morning. She's on her way back to Northfield Park for this week's Buckeye. Not the two lines you want to have going into a Buckeye, but both explainable and unfortunate. But that's racing. You don't always get the perfect start to your life or to the season or even to a week that you want. But for the most part, a dull Friday. Very dull Friday. But considering the week we had, I think we can overlook Friday and start focusing on the days that... I noticed we only have one horse in today. It is Saturday, and we have one horse racing. And that is our newest horse, Sintra. Very lucky with our new horses all year long, but especially Blue Tesla looked fantastic the other day. Very impressed with what I saw. And I told you guys when I trained this filly, she felt awesome. And then even when I spoke to Jason going into the race, I said, hey, make sure you tell Ryan, let this filly rock a little bit tonight. He said, there's a couple of real tough ones in there. I said, well, do your best. Man, she looked awesome. But all of our horses, for the most part, were overshadowed. I guess it's worth noting, there was at least one horse that really caught my eye that I didn't really pay much attention to before this week. I did a little bit in the sense that I schooled him a couple of times. James qualified him. I was interested with the Sylvain qualifier, and then the way Bob McClure drove him. A little tough, very un-Bob McClure-like, but at the same token, I was super impressed with what I saw in More Than You Know. That's our Heston Blue Chip colt. He will likely be coming over, I guess, now to race in the final two Stallion series. Man, he's really jumped forward in a big way. I had all but just written him off in the sense that just gonna much along the same lines as World for Two, who, by the way, didn't race that bad last night at all. Right. World for Two has always been a real problem to get 3 wide in the last turn. I thought we were in an awesome position. I said, if I can just wait till I had a lane, I'm going to be second or third. I didn't think I was going to beat Brady's horse, or maybe even either Brady's horse, Brady Galliers or Brady Brown. But I thought that he would at least give a good showing. And then the entire last turn, he just spent running in, burning energy, and didn't finish up all that well. But for a horse that's been off 5 weeks, 54 and a piece, I think he still come 29 seconds or something. I thought he raced pretty well. But yeah, More Than You Know, I had thought that his year coming up was going to be very similar to World for Two. Stay in Ontario, race him around a little bit, and turn him out. But man, the way he's looked the last 3 weeks has been incredible. Horse looked fantastic. Very, very impressed with the way that horse looked the other day. I think one more tightener at Mohawk, and then he can come over for the Arden. He can race in the Arden here in Pennsylvania, and then if we like what we see after that, he can race in the final two Stallion Series events. So still, what I didn't even think of, I wasn't even planning a timeline for More Than You Know, but it turns out that we had to. And speaking of timelines, I spent the last 2 days going over our horses. One of the toughest timelines to formulate right now, to forge right now, is Horn Player. I thought she'd be a little better the other day. Her mile itself, when you look at it as a whole, was very good, but it wasn't 55. I thought she'd go win in 56. Little rough coming out of the gate. I had to watch her in the middle 3/8 of the mile. Then once I got her up into gear, she gets stalled behind Sister Solange, and then come on well down the lane. But again, for a filly that I was expecting 56, 59 isn't that astonishing. So that leaves me with more questions than answers. Do we look to the kindergarten? I looked at the kindergarten last night. You said they went 54-ish. Yeah. Can Horn Player go down to the Meadowlands and trot 54? It's a bigger track, a lot more room to work with. Maybe. But there's still, like I said to everybody, there's still no rush. I would rather send our horses when we know, not when we hope. Remember, hope is no way to enter horses. If you're hoping and praying and wondering, and you're in the wrong place. We should be able to go there confident that the horses can do. And I know, Horn Player, get there. A great question by one of our clients, one of my partners on the other day was, Anthony, do you really think he's good enough? Why is it so cold in here?
I don't know. I turned my seat on.
You can turn the actual thermostat off there. A great question, a fair question. Is she good enough? I honestly still can't tell you. I think she is. I can't look at anything she's done and say, it's terrible. No, her mile was good the other day, and she did everything I asked her to do. In fact, that was the first time in any of her charted lines, in any of her recorded miles outside of Tamiko where she was charging hard on the end of it. Last week, she kind of hung out. She got up the win, but she kind of hung out, right? The other night, what's that? I don't want to make excuses with shoes, and I know that her footwear probably wasn't the greatest for the Meadows, but she's a little finicky with her footwear. She wears an open-toed shoe up front, which was not good for that deep track. She wears egg bars behind, again, not good for that track. But overall, I thought she did her work well. But a tough filly to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. When you look at Crantini and Spitfire Overseas, we pretty much know where we're going with these horses. The only little monkey wrench this week was putting Austral Hanover up into the Sire Stakes. Can you believe I just said that? I can't believe it.
We always have one every year.
Every year we have one. Addie. Yeah, I know, you're awake. Every year we do have one, but that one's an astonishing one. You might have a horse jump forward and oh wow, that horse really did well. But to have Austral Hanover go from Austral Hanover of the spring to the Sire Stakes in the second leg is something else. And another great question or point raised by one of our clients was they thought that Tailgate Buzz should have been the horse. Now, the reason that the horse even ended up in the Sire Stakes was I had called the race office and said, listen, trying to plan my day and figure out what's going on. How many divisions are you going to have? They said 2 Sire Stakes, 4 stallion. Well, we had 5 stallion horses, counting the demotion, so to speak, but it was planned for Carter Michael Dio. I wanted him in there. Yeah, she got smoothies, honey.
Right there in my door.
Yeah, it's right there in your door. Thank you. I'm sure they were very worried about that. I found a pulp in Pennsylvania, in Cranberry. It's a wonderful little town. It's literally right on the way back to Northfield from the Meadows. It's great. So, the way it came about was we had 4 and 2. So, if we're going to have 2 horses in together, I would rather have 2 of them racing for 77,000 or 70,000 rather than 20, right? It just makes sense. But to do that, do we really have a Sire Stake horse? And I think Tailgate Buzz would have done just fine. The difference between Tailgate Buzz and Austral Hanover is Austral Hanover has come from the Rocky Balboa school of training. He's been beat up and trained hard and made breaks and came about it in the most obscure, unscripted way. He's became a good horse in the toughest way. I don't believe he ever won a training set. I don't even think anybody ever talked favorably of him. But when push came to shove and the lights came on and we got to the track and we got behind the starting gate, a horse showed up. And Tailgate Buzz has been good, but you watched him get roughed up in that first stake race and he didn't race well. And I don't want to put Tailgate Buzz in a place where he can get hurt. He can get his feelings hurt. I think he is a much softer horse than, I don't think, I'm 1,000% positive he's a much softer horse. If Austral Hanover goes out and is chasing and chasing and chasing and finishes 3rd in the mile and he just couldn't go enough, or 4th or 5th, I know that I can put him in the Stallion Series and he'll come out swinging his next start. Now, I think in fairness, it's worth saying that Tailgate Buzz first over his first start and gave it up a little bit and didn't race great. Worked on a few little things, come back, we raced him accordingly and he raced well. So in that regard, he can bounce back. I just thought with everything, all things considered, the colts are very close also. I know that, there are some people that think there's this wide berth between Austral and Tailgate Buzz, and there is not at all. It's very minor, if any. And it a wonderful point again. They said, well, Tailgate Buzz trained down as one of her best horses. No, that doesn't matter now. None of that matters. That's wonderful, but that's all window dressing. You're here now. Nothing that happened in the spring or the winter matters to anybody. These are the new stories being written for these horses. And at the end of the day, obviously we know Crantini has been awesome. Spitfire Overseas the other day, scoped a little sick and got a little bit roughed up. But it's awesome. I believe I now have a pretty good idea of what's going on with Carter Michael Dio and how we are going to fix him. So I'm optimistic about him. The rest of the horses have all done their work well. The only question mark left, 2 question marks. Is Merchant Man going to make it to the Sire Stakes this year? I don't know. That'll be up to him. I can probably answer that question in the next few weeks, but I can't do it today. And the other question was, where's Enzo Aguero? A lot went on with that horse this week. Now, obviously, I have a lot less people to report to when it comes to Enzo, a much smaller group. So Amy schooled Enzo Aguero behind the gate in the race bike. How long has it been since you were in the race bike?
Unbeatable camp last year.
Unbeatable camp last year.
Me too.
You too? Wow. You like cake? Oh, you like pancakes too, I see. So, I went behind the gate with Brace for Landing, who I was happy with. I reported we're going to qualify him next week. We're not, because I'm not there. I might train him. When am I in Northfield again? Monday night. Tuesday morning I have to go to the Meadows. And Wednesday I'm in Bucyrus, I guess. No, if there's racing at 5:30, I can train him Wednesday. Yeah. So I can train Brace for Landing Wednesday at Northfield Park again. But he's close, but he still felt like just something was holding him back. I don't think it was soundness. I don't think it was anything like that, but I want to get a closer look at how he's doing. And, I've told everybody, none of these horses...
Noted, he has never trained on the front.
That's true.
Ever.
No, he trained. I've trained him on the front, but he's never really raced on the front before, or schooled or qualified on the front. That's for sure. James is going with him.
Well, I trained him almost every time.
I went with him a couple of times and moved him and put him on the front. Once for sure. If you go back and watch the videos, you'll find that I'm right and you're wrong. Anyway, happy with the colt. Listen, anytime you can go a mile 58 on a half-mile track with a trotting colt, it's a good mile. I just think there's some progression there. I look back and Amy was flying out of the backfield with Enzo. Enzo's ready to go. He's ready to probably trot in 57 or 58 on Thursday of this week. Now, if you look at the draw, we have a very good draw. We had Enzo's in the Stallion Series. Fashion Presidente, coming off his lifetime win, is in the Stallion Series. Carter Michael Dio is in the Stallion Series, and so is the aforementioned Tailgate Buzz. I think all 4 of those horses have a very, very good shot. Then you look to the only 2 Sire Stake events that we have. We have Austral, who's in with Crantini, and the other winner the other day, Kenobi, who beat Spitfire Overseas. They're in together, and then in the other division, we have Spitfire Overseas. I suspect and hope we'll have a very, very good day in Philadelphia also, because that was some kind of magical day the other day. It just felt like our horses were better. We're better than theirs. And that's a feeling we don't, we're sure in overnights, but we never really generally get to wander into stakes competition at 6-5, 3-5, 2-5, and then win the race and have the horses look impressive. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and very gratifying, to be honest, to look back at the work we put into these horses and have them showing up the way they did. Our colts in Ohio aren't that good this year. They aren't as good as we hoped. They're going to be Buckeye fair horses, except for What a Mission, who is 7-2. Morning line in the Sire Stakes on Monday. So another shocker from our training regiments is What a Mission. The fillies are very, very good. I know you saw High Enterprise look terrible again yesterday. I will make the excuses for the filly because 1, I shouldn't have driven her that hard, and 2, she was still had mucus, and I think you're going to find some points in her blood. A little frustrating also. As I said to Jason, she strikes me as a filly that 1, you really have to race her inside her parameters. She's not going to be a first over grinding away filly. You're going to have to, 1, make sure she's 105% both in her blood and her airway and everything about her every time she goes to the races. And two, and that might sound, you might say to yourself, well, shouldn't we have everyone like that? Well, we should. But they're never generally 100%. Very rarely. It's like any athlete. You ask any high-end athlete, are you ever at 100%? It's not very often, right? It's very, very hard to do. There's always something to overcome or something to get around. So High Enterprise is just one of those horses we have to have perfect all the time. So we'll strive to do that for next Thursday. Undoubtedly, she'll have a better mile. For those of you worried, because she stopped both her qualifiers, she looked great. We scoped her. There's no blood, so it's not like there's an issue with her airway. The only issue is she's got some pimples, redness, mucus. We're working a way to get her dried up. So we have the fillies in Ohio. We have the Colts in Pennsylvania, and even Sister Solange was good. Leaps and Bounds trained good today. Now I told everybody we're moving her away from Pennsylvania. She's going to go down to Kentucky. Hi, baby. She is dual eligible. She's going to head. Yeah, they see you. We're heading. She's getting sent down to Kentucky to race. Long week.
Oh, really? For you?
Yeah. Hey.
You get to drop us off and enjoy quiet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, do I ever quiet in multiple states? Yeah, I get to be quiet in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois. Thanks. Oh, why don't you just throw your smoothie everywhere? If that had dumped, I just would have wheeled it right into the concrete bean immediately. So Leaps and Bounds will be going to Kentucky. Adeline. Leaps and Bounds will be going to Kentucky. Sister Solange, pretty nice filly. Had an off day the other day. A few little things wrong with her we're going to work on. Lots of time with her. Really happy with what I've seen from Sister Solange. Very happy with her. That's our PA fillies, right? There was Leaps and Bounds, Sister Solange. Am I missing one? I don't think I am. No. And the PA Colts are good. A lot of our New Jersey stuff hasn't shown up yet, as there are some of our better Colts we're looking to focus on later in the summer. Sir Strong will be... Didn't he school yesterday, Sir Strong? I didn't get a report from Dominic. Ask Dominic how he schooled. He was supposed to school yesterday. Landing pad was scratched. He's going to school on Tuesday. Landing strip made a break. Very green at the gate on a half-mile track. A bad place to be, as I told everybody. I might bring him over here. And as we clean some of the horses out, the staking starts full time. Might get him a race or two here at the Meadows. Nice 5/8 with a decent surface. When they have it good, they did not have it good the last 2 days, but when they have it good, it's a pretty decent surface. And then Nothing But a Dreamer was absolutely, now this is James, not me, said he was absolutely fantastic the other day. So an Ontario Colt there. Now we had a lot of people dumping their shares at Cunning Connie, and I had a number of people ask me what is wrong with Cunning Connie and why are people dumping their shares. Well, you guys know, I understand that you have certain expectations for the horses, and as those expectations aren't met, people tend to just dump their shares. And I think Cunning Connie will do fine in the grassroots. You just can't leave and get parked at the quarter 28 seconds with her. James knows that. Just the way the race unfolded. So I think when she races at Grand River, and she races at Dresden, at Clinton, or wherever the hell the other stakes are, and then at the end of the year at Flamborough, I think you're going to see Cunning Connie will do just fine in the grassroots. My expectations weren't let down. I like the filly. I know exactly what happened the other night. I know her, and I know she'll bounce back. Who am I missing? Gandalf the Black on the pacing side was good. Do we have any pacing fillies for Ontario? I don't think we do either. And then, of course...
Oh, yeah, she was in the field.
Who? Oh, Chocolate for Lunch. You forgot about her.
I did.
She's gone to Dwayne Marfisi. Kind of a bad mile for her the other night. Kind of a weird race. He ended up first over hard from 6th or something. Much like the trip I gave Tailgate Buzz. And very similar result, except slower. Look at all the easy pass people. Why don't you just go to the tickets one? It's that full. It's supposed to be faster. There's 9 million people there. It's not faster. Silly. So don't forget about Illinois, Rosita Stream, GJ's ATM. I'm going to be going out to see them this week and race them on Friday. I think it's pretty clear now. I talked to Jason yesterday. Perlucky Scope clean. Everything looked good. He just didn't seem great. Now, I looked at his performances. He's his 23rd start this year. Is he getting a little tired? That's possible. but it may just mean that he needs a little easier competition. So I'm going to send him out to Illinois. It was funny. I was sitting with one of our clients the other day and said, well, Anthony, they only go for $12,000 out in Illinois. I said, but if he's finishing third or fourth going for 23, would it not make more sense to get the 6 in Illinois? Those horses aren't as good as Per Lucky. And I suspect when you get Per Lucky, of course the line's moving perfect now. I suspect as you get Per Lucky out to Illinois and in with horses that should be a little inferior to him that will have better results. Now, it may be the fact that he's at 23 starts under his belt already this year. Maybe he is a little tired, in which case we can fix that also. He's a classy old horse. He's always going to be a nice horse for us. We just have to do right by him. I think the first step will be Addie, is there any way you could turn that down just a little bit for me? You are the best. Just a little bit, not all the way. A little bit more. Perfect.
I can't feel it.
Just a little bit then. So I think Illinois, Per Lucky will be heading out to Illinois. I really like what I see in Mr. Eaton, James Eaton. Very sharp guy, good horseman, and really understands, especially, I can tell a guy like him would really, really fit and suit Per Lucky really well. On the pacing side, I don't know. I think we should have an open pacer out there. Look at horses like No Free Lunch. Would he fit out there? I don't know if he's a top class horse out there or not. He's only got 3,000 made last 6, and I know that Harry wants to race him in the non-winners of 3,000 or 4,000, whatever's there. So that may not be an immediate thing. And I can tell you one thing, I got a real sour taste in my mouth over Sintra being in the non-winners of 12,000. When he fits the non-winners of 7 or 8, whatever they have, and he ends up in the non-winners of 12, that really, really makes me angry. The whole part, I think a portion, a component of putting me over the top and buying this horse was the fact that he fit down below, and we could maybe bang out some money right away with him and then decide where does Sintra fit. What is a Sintra for us? But this he's in tough tonight. Horse is 6-1, and I think they're being kind. That is a salty, salty middle condition class pace tonight. I'm going to be watching very, very close because you may see Sintra head to Illinois also. Sintra belongs, it deserves to be the big fish in the little pond. His whole life he's been the big fish, but in the big pond. And I think he misses being a bully. I think he misses being the best horse in the race. And don't kid yourself. Horses know. Horses know when they're in where they're supposed to win. The good ones do anyway. They can always tell somehow. You can feel sitting behind them. They just know. And Sintra's been a while since he's known, right? He's had to race in the Open. He's had to race in the backup class. Now he's caught this class tonight. And you're thinking, this is now much to 12,000. Go ahead and have a look at the program. Some tough horses in there. There's a very good chance you might see Sintra next week in Illinois also. It's a very difficult time of year. You have all these transitions going on where you have non-winners and conditioned horses moving around and jostling in classes. Now you have the added problem of classes not filling in Ontario. That's why he's not in the non-winners 8,000, because there is no non-winners 8,000 this week. So you have a tough time getting classes filled. So we have to be on top of that. I have to be cognizant of that all the time, right? You can't wait for Sintra to drop down next week because you know where to drop to. And I'm not waiting for him to get to the non-winners of 3,000, that's for sure. That's where No Free Lunch is going to go. So I think, as much as we're watching the stake horses and trying to stay on top of everything stake-wise, I also have to be aware that we have other horses racing. Like the horse, look at that cat, I'm just pulling my hair out because I can't seem to. He has to race against Globetrotting. 1, I hate racing our horses together, and 4 of them are racing together this week. And 2, look at that cat, should never be in with Globetrotting, ever, in his life. So that's frustrating to me also. So those are things we're worried about, working on constantly as we work on this. Then I'm taking a look at, we're always trying to look at horses. You guys saw I didn't see a whole lot on gate. I bid on a couple of horses last week, but I did see quite a few, maybe 3 or 4 in the preferred sale. 2 in particular I absolutely want. So I'm going to do a video in a little while about which ones. I don't know. I got to be careful because a lot of the people that are on these videos may have something to do with the people that are up for sale, the horses that are up for sale. So I got to watch it. But there are a couple of horses for sure I'm quite interested in when it comes to the sale on Monday. And as I say that, we have horses in our midst that have to be moved on over the next 2 weeks. You guys know who they are. I've been talking about them quite a bit. I'm going to sit down and make a list tonight of horses that may not be in this sale, but the next preferred sale. I believe there is going to be maybe 3 or 4 or 5 horses in our barn right now that will be joining other barns in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So when we look at what took place last week, Renegade Gypsy, I got some awful flack from everybody saying you didn't talk about Renegade Gypsy. And Renegade Gypsy is a lot like Walk on the Moon. Same dad, same type of attitude. You know they could be better, but there's just something holding them back. Now, hold on. Before you think I'm ripping them apart, Renegade Gypsy raced exceptionally well in Rito Carlton. And this could be a staging point for a resurgence. This is a horse that we started in the gold and we thought was a gold colt.
Yeah.
Now, he's not a gold colt, but I'll tell you one thing. He looked pretty good. Looked very, very good in Rito Carlton. So let's see what horse Renegade Gypsy can turn into now. And you guys know the anger I show towards Walk on the Moon is only because I know he's an open trotter. And he just chooses not to be on a weekly, daily, probably hourly basis. Just chooses not to be a better horse. And that's the only thing that angers me. He's fast. There's no denying that Walk on the Moon is a fast horse. He's a very fast horse. If he would do what he did, and that was the very best he could be, you would find a very different demeanor from me towards Walk on the Moon. But he doesn't. When you sit behind him, you know he just doesn't care. The world's full of athletes and horses too that are like that. So I deal with Walk on the Moon, but yeah, it angers me that he doesn't want to put out full time. Renegade Gypsy, a lot like him, but Walk on the Moon did win in 53-3 at the Meadows, and if we can keep Renegade Gypsy moving in the right direction, man, he could be a really nice horse. I'll give you this. He's bigger and stronger than Walk on the Moon was, so who knows? Maybe he could be a real good horse. It's a big horse to put a lot of meat on his bones. So let's see what Renegade Gypsy turns into. I might be wrong. He might be a very, very nice 4-year-old. I don't know yet. He'll be the one to answer those questions. And then Monday we talked about how Cunning Connie went. Yes, a little disappointing, but not shocking. To be quite frank, she can empty out quickly, and she got used really hard to the quarter pole. She'll bounce back. Tuesday was one of the 2 very bad days for us at the track. 1-2 skip a few. I think Jason Hesser entered in the condition claimer on Wednesday. I think that's where she belongs. Nice filly, but we need to race her where she can win. There's no point just hoping and dreaming she's going to get better. She needs to get better on her own. Nothing under scope or in her blood would lead me or anybody else to believe that there was something that we could work on more than we are already. And I just don't think Skippy is going to get to. She wasn't last year. She wasn't as good as Pete Purple or Pete. I don't think she's going to be this year. That's just the way it is. Speaking of Pete Purple made breaks. One has done it a few times this year, and the other one extremely uncharacteristic. I think you can look at how the whole day shook out, and the horse is making breaks in weird places. I knew that Pete was going to make a break long before she did. I just hoped we'd be able to get her down that stretch. She only got a couple of steps into it and run. We can work on that. If you look at how the Meadows race played out, it was very similar. So I think it's just a matter of staying a little tighter on her maintenance. Rather than 3 weeks, you might have to have the vet go over at 10 days or 2 weeks for now and make sure that she's okay. And Purple Aura, it's just a matter of making sure corks are sharp, which they were. Maybe pulling her hobbles in when the track's real loose, which it was. But just keeping an eye on her in general. But other than that, those 2 horses have been absolutely fantastic. Both of them and Slim Jimmy will make the final and be some of the favorites in the final of those pop-up series that they're in. I believe the finals are next week, if I'm not mistaken. Tuesday, we schooled, as I said, Nothing But a Dreamer. He was absolutely fantastic, James said. And Red Overbach was very, very good, too. Now, the non-winners of 2 or 3 didn't fill on Tuesday. I assume and hope it'll be written back for Thursday at Mohawk Raceway. We're going to see. I'm going to lose my mind if we have a problem where we buy Red Overbach and we can't get him raced other than stake races. I am going to lose it. So hopefully the non-winners of 3 will go on Thursday. Wednesday was obviously one of the biggest days of the summer outside of Swinging Señorita's huge win and the good day that we had on July the 4th. Outside of the July the 4th festivities, which was the best day we've ever had at the track, rivaling it, but I guess not quite getting there, was Wednesday at the Meadows. Man, what, especially coming off such crushing defeats on Tuesday, and then just to come out swinging on Wednesday was hard for me to do. But man, the horses certainly pulled me up into it. Just a tremendous mile from Crantini. Scott and Megan have done a great job with this horse. He looked fantastic. Carter Michael Dio shouldn't have run where he did, but I think I know why. I thought I knew why when he ran on James. I made a few changes. And when I trained him at Northfield Park, I didn't get to train him as hard as he raced. I think if I had come a quarter in 28 seconds with him, I would have seen what I saw at the Meadows, but unfortunately I didn't. And I think we'll make those adjustments heading into Philadelphia. Tailgate Buzz just jogged. He won very, very easy. Both him and Austral Hanover won incredibly easy in their two divisions. Spitfire Overseas just got put in a bad spot. You know, somebody had said, well, why didn't you go to there with him? Well, he didn't have the experience that Tailgate Buzz or Austral Hanover did on the gate in the race. And I didn't want to jeopardize, you know, the horse was still one of the best horses in the race. And what excuse would I give you if I said, you know, I just left too hard with him? I didn't leave at all in his first race. I got away third, gapped out, then moved him, put him into position. He was fine, and he overpowered them. Had he not scoped a little sick, had he been healthy, I'm almost positive he would have bailed out the tough spot I put him in. When you look left, I just didn't want to tap him on the tail and spook him and have him make a break. So when I looked left, I knew I was probably going to get away 6th or 7th, and there was nothing I could do about it. In that blink of an eye, I could have put him in gear and drove him up into closer company around 4th or even onto the front. But I just, second start of the year, so many big events ahead for Spitfire Overseas. I just didn't want to put him in a bad spot. It ended up being a bad spot, but that's racing. And, you know, I think it's the way the race played out and the way it had to play out. I don't think there would have been a way I could have left with him, knowing what I know about the horse. I just don't think there could have been. But just an absolutely tremendous day. So listen, we swept the Stallion Series divisions. All 3 of them we won. They had 5 sire stake races, and we won 4 of them. It was 4 of them, or 4th in the other one. So a big day at the track for the stable, and very happy to get Enzo back on track. Figured out what exactly, aside from his liver, what was bothering him, and I think we've mitigated that. I think you're going to see a big mile from Enzo Guayo. Philadelphia on Thursday. Now, our Thursday, we saw Taiwan make a break, which isn't very common for her. Scotty said she just threw her head and made a little break. Now, she has enough points to make the final. A lot of people asking. She is in the final, will make the final. Final isn't for 6 weeks, so as I said to Scott, her only stake race in between is the Arden. And for her to come all the way back here to race in the Arden, I wasn't leaving her here. I just didn't want to. And when it came to the Arden itself, I said to Scotty, if you're going to race for 15 to 17 at the Poconos in an overnight, or come back here to race for 20 to 30, don't worry about it. Just leave her down there. So Taiwan is going to stay with Scott and Megan. She's actually in New York on the East Coast. Yes, honey, I know you're dying to ask me something. Okay. I think she's dying to ask me something. Horn Player, I thought, raced very good. Sister Solange raced okay. Will to Win, for those of you who don't know, we retained Will to Win and kept her at the Meadows. Tim Twaddle is going to race her on Wednesday. There's just no point in leaving her with Julie. And nothing against Julie and Andy. I had messaged Julie after the race and said, I don't think she's a stake filly. She's 20 to 1 going on the track from the rail in a Stallion Series event. I can't really make an argument to leave her on the East Coast to race the Poconos in Philadelphia when she can simply race at the Meadows or go back to Mohawk. Yeah. Or go back to Mohawk, which would be fine also. Addie. So, Will to Win Hanover is now she's at the Meadows with Tim. She's in to go with Mike Wilder down to drive on Wednesday, and I suspect she'll be just fine.
Does she have any sire stakes that
No, the sire stakes are all done. Sire stakes are all done, but she may make the Constellation possibly. I'm not sure. We'll see.
So they're
done. Yeah, no, they end early, eh? Yeah, sire stakes, they're all 4 of them are done.
Just started.
It's 2-year-olds just started. It's so weird. I don't understand it either, but it is what it is. So Will to Win Hanover We'll race at the Meadows and then potentially, possibly go back to Mohawk. We'll see. Everybody knows. What's the plan with Will to Win? Get a good mark on her, make some money, and then immediately have her unfold to the very best stallion on planet Earth for her. This is Crystal Fashion's full sister, who you said got parked to the 3/8 last night at the Meadowlands and was second in 51. As how old is he? 8? 7?
Same age as Wyoming.
That's right. 7 or 8? 7 or 8. Tough old horse. We tried to buy him, remember? He went for like 200, I think. In the, that's right. The Harrisburg set. Or was it the Meadowlands? No, you're right. It was Harrisburg. So that's the plan with Will to Win Hanover. Everybody knows that. It's well scripted now. That will be what will happen with her. We'll race her, try and make a little money with her, put a good mark on her, and then she will be in full. And as I said, the other horse raced on Thursday that was the biggest surprise to me was More Than You Know. I guess not a big surprise. I thought he had some power. Man, he looks like he's got a real bright future ahead of him. And again, this is Miss Mildred's brother. And they told me they was down by the seaside brother to this horse.
We should bring her to Stanley.
Why? Why do you like Stanley? Yeah, they're all right. But there's also Pennsylvania. Jersey, New York, North Pennsylvania. Anyway, on Thursday morning, we talked about schooling Brace for Landing, Enzo Guel. Father Dunn, that was the first time I got a chance to drive him. Man, he drives like a cement truck. He runs in bad. He's a big, strong horse. Is he going to be a good horse? I don't know if he is or he isn't. I will get him qualified next Tuesday at the Meadows. Of that, I'm certain. Just need a big trotting bike on him. We made a few little shoeing adjustments. We're going to make some equipment changes, and he'll qualify, I suspect, 57 or 58 at the Meadows on Tuesday morning. Friday we raced Slim Jimmy, raced great. The rest of the day was a complete train wreck outside of Marshall Zukov. And then we also schooled Cutie Cumber. For those of you that are wondering, I believe our patience paid off. James said Cutie Cumber was awesome. Now, went a mile and 2.4 last half, 59. We'll go back a mile and 2.1 next week. 2 weeks from qualifying Cutie Cumber, and that is good news. That is the Cutie Cumber we were waiting for, not the one that qualified in June. And by understanding that there's a difference between the two. Now, what I'm telling you has to come to fruition. It's one thing for Anthony to be optimistic and tell you about how good Cutie Cumber is now. It's another thing to see it. So bear with me. I believe we are going to see it. I believe we are going to see a very good horse. We're going to see the horse that we saw trained down all year, and it will be the direct result of the breaks we put on in June. So very, very, very excited to see what Cutie Cumber comes from. Oh, I saw it. The biggest news of the day now. Granted, we had a terrible night at the races, and we don't have anything going on today, so it's a rather quiet day, but the news arrived to me yesterday evening that Eyes at 10 is in full. We still are awaiting, with bated breath and crossed fingers, Twinkle in Her Eye, Compass Rose DC, and Stolen Dance, I believe, right?
No, My Jazz.
And My Jazz. Because My Jazz, that was the most crippling news of all, was that we had My Jazz in full in late April. She was going to have a nice March baby, and she absorbed the foal. So, rebred, those 4 mares are rebred. I had a wonderful observation from one of our clients, Joel, today, saying, hey, you may want to rethink your breeding strategy. We had a lot of mares that were bred late. Wasn't meant to be blunt, but taken very bluntly and 100% correctly. I don't know anything about breeding at all, except for the children in the back. I know nothing about breeding whatsoever, mares. And you know, I just thought we breed them and they get in full. It's kind of how it works. But I can't really blame. Twinkle in Her Eye was last minute, right? But Compass Rose DC, we took our time getting her off the track. I think that cost us. Plus, we were breeding to a sire at the Start Enterprise. I don't know if there's something with the seam. They weren't. I heard a few people saying they weren't catching. So I don't want to say we were wasting our time, but it wasn't becoming very fruitful. So I think our preparation for the breeding year needs to be more streamlined, because that is one part of the racing industry where you can make plans and stick to them. So I think we're gonna revamp, at least try to streamline and hammer out a plan of breeding our mares in 2023 that makes surgical sense, and that's what we're gonna do. So very happy with everything that's gone on. How couldn't we be happy? It's 2022. You know, people are talking about what we're doing in a good way. We're having a lot of luck on the track. We've had some unbelievably good luck in Pennsylvania in the trotting colt division. The fillies are good. everything looks good across the board for the most part. Yes, we've had our disappointments, and we will every year. Everybody will. You will, I will. But at the end of the day, I would say our accomplishments far outweigh our missteps and our defeats this year. So, as I continue to say, off to a flying start. Very, very happy with what has gone on. It won't be long now. We'll be talking about the sales. We'll be talking about going to the yearling sales. But for now, please take a tiny bit of advice. Soak it all in, because it doesn't stay very long. It's the greatest time. When we get to get wind pictures, we got all these cool wind pictures from Pennsylvania the other day. They were exceptional. And even I, been in this game a long time, I am supposed to be immune to stuff like that. But even I know enough, especially with kids. Soak it all up. Because it's not going to stay for forever. We're going to have our valleys. So it only makes sense that when you're on the peaks, take a minute to look around. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Just another great week here at thestable.ca. Take care.